I gotta ask. We gotta talk about this. Bureau BLS reports come like, what is going on with this? We see, like Trump fired him, we
had to. I sat and listened to a bunch of whiners that, well, she doesn't really do any of the calculation, but she's the boss. She's the boss. If you cannot get the people underneath you to work correctly and provide you correct information, heads have got to roll.
And the part that blows my mind with this is you take the job numbers, right? I think there should, I get it. There's a margin of error. Like, if you come back and tell me a 1% correction, 2% correction, shit, I'd probably be okay if it was a 3 or 5% correction. But to see some of these corrections where they roll out and you're like, the numbers were just so wildly inaccurate that you're like, and the part is like that report comes out and it moves the economy.
It moves the markets.
Like,
look what it did to the bond rate.
Yeah.
Look what it did to the bond rate on Friday when it came out.
Oh, yeah.
We went from what, 4.39, 4.4, somewhere in that ballpark, to 4.2.
Yeah. Massive move.
Massive move. Basically, people, oh my gosh, we're going into a recession.
We went from, what was it? The day before, I think you and I were talking, and we were talking about how Powell, Fed Powell, like there's not going to be any rate cut. Like nobody's projecting rate cuts.
Yep.
To now, this report comes out, and because it was so wildly inaccurate, it was revised so much that they're now saying, hey, September, we're probably seeing cuts.
Yeah, I looked this morning, 80%.
Yeah.
80% betting. But you look at it, because they did the same thing in 2024. They had a revision. I remember that. And you're talking, hundreds of thousands of jobs. And I'm like, I'd fire your butt. I'm sorry, but I'm not just firing the head. I'm firing everybody in the department and starting over. It's like, if you guys can't do this. But the thing is you listen to them whining. It's like, well, there's obviously something wrong in the way you're calculating. And you know what it is? With all the computers, artificial intelligence, they still do surveys. It's still survey. It's no different than with the rents, with the inflation number. What do? They call landlord. Oh, are you going to increase your rent this month? Or are you not? Are you going to hold it steady? Are you freaking kidding me? You can't figure this out. You've got all this artificial intelligence, all this stuff, and you're calling somebody up to say, hey, did you hire anybody this week? Oh, you did. Oh, wonderful. Thank you. And because nobody answers the phone anymore. And I was listening to one gentleman, and he was saying that they hypothecate about 30% of the calculation. It used to be like 2-3%, and it's jumped. I believe it's almost like 30%. They had a graph on it. I'm like, how the largest economy in the world, and you're guessing. You are guessing what the job numbers are.
So they're just calling up and they're like, oh, well, I guess Susie at ABC Rockets is really busy. They must be hiring somebody else this month.
Yep.
So we're going to put them down for a new hire. John's phone is disconnected now. He must not be so busy that he can't pay his bill.
Yeah.
So that's 10 hires.
Here, let me look in the Orlando Business Journal. Oh, wow. Look at this. So-and-so is going to be hiring 1,000 people over the next 12 months. I will throw them in for this.
Well, they said, they're hiring them this month or next month or the next. We're going to assume this month, robust job economy, everybody's getting a job.
Yeah. But here's the thing is what confusion does this provide? Because we had a GDP at 3, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And job growth is really.
Well, that seems a little concerning. Something seems off there.
Something's off. So it's like, okay. And like you said, it moves markets, and you're sitting, because, both you and I, involved in the market a little bit, and you're sitting there trying to figure out what to buy, what not to buy, and I'm sitting there because I'm, silver, gold, those types of things. And you're looking, oh, well, if there's job growth, well, gold and silver should kind of come down. Well, if there's no job growth, you go to safety. Where's safety? You go to the bonds. You go to gold and silver.
Whoop, whoop. Safe.
Exact opposite. It just blows your mind.
Well, right now everything is AI and technology, so that might be the new stable. No, it definitely was interesting to see a lot of this. We haven't seen the new appointments. I don't think either.
No.
And
he said by Friday.
so it looks like we'll have an update maybe for that, and we'll be able to get some more information out. But it's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be very critical. You know that whoever is going to get appointed, it's going to skew more toward Trump's kind of style. But
he's not going to get. He wants a 3% cut. He's not getting it.
No.
I don't care who he hires. He could put Don Jr. in there. He's not getting a 3% interest rate cut.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it changes dynamics so much.
Yeah.
That one little thing. I felt like, because we do our regular podcast on Thursday, and I woke up Friday morning and saw the revisions, and I'm like, well, everything we kind of went over went out the window.
It was all valid yesterday.
Yes.
And it shouldn't, like, this is the problem that I have. You shouldn't be surprised like that. It shouldn't happen.
No.
It really, like, I think most of these reports should be very, like, make sense. Like, oh yeah, it made sense.
Well,
I get it.
And you kind of go back to Doge in that they look at all the inefficiencies in the government. And, a lot of people, oh, you can't do, it's like, look, you got to treat the government like a corporation. You do. And if there's inefficiencies, just like if there's inefficiencies in your company, what are you going to do? You're going to go in, you're going to revise your methodology of the way you do things. You're going to try and streamline it as well. May that result in layoffs? It may. Maybe it will result in hiring. But you have to look at the efficiency. And if you don't go in and look at these, that's nothing's ever going to get fixed. And that's the problem I have with both the Democrats and the Republicans, is they keep doing the same thing over and over again. And, people say that's the definition of insanity. I said, no, that's the definition of stupidity. It is, because, the Republicans, they think, hey, our people are in, we're going to change things. It's like, no, they fell in line. I'm sorry. I wasn't for the big, beautiful bill. I wasn't. I thought there was too much pork in it, like usual. And I just know, like we went over last week, I mean, you can make everything sound good, but when you actually look at the numbers, like the Treasury email we went over, we're still going to borrow $1.5 trillion between now and the end of the year. $1.5 trillion. At roughly, well, thanks to Friday, at 4.2% as opposed to 4.45. Yay.